Hey, what's happening, herpers? Today I want to talk about the new piece of reptile keeping equipment that I got in this box. And calling it reptile keeping equipment might be a little bit of a stretch. It's definitely not intended for reptile keeping. But anyway, if you are somebody who has to buy any sort of whole frozen thawed prey item for your pets, and you are still buying the overpriced rats from big pet stores, then this video is for you and will save you a ton of money. Recently, I had to go back to buying feeders from some of the big pet stores, and it was a real wake-up call to kind of see how expensive they had gotten. They've always been expensive there, but even now, like everything, they're more expensive. So if you want to learn how to save a ton of money feeding your snakes, hit the like button, comment below what type of snake or other pet you're feeding, then we'll see what's in this box and get to feeding some snakes.
What's in the box?
Well, don't worry, I'm about to tell you this isn't going to be one of those videos where I milk it out the full 10 minutes and tell you in the last 30 seconds what's in the box. And honestly, part of it's because it's the least interesting part of how you're going to save money with the information in this video. What I have in this box is a freezer.
Well?
That's some secret box you got there. Yeah, thanks for showing me that.
Now before you click away, because I know buying a freezer doesn't sound like the most exciting premise for a reptile video, but I promise if you stick around, it will be worth it because buying this freezer is going to cut the amount I have to spend on rodents this year by almost 2/3. Which is a really big deal because when I did the math to figure out how much money it would cost me to feed all of my pet snakes and give my Tegu L the occasional mouse as a treat, the grand total was over $900 for just this year.
I am never gonna financially recover from this.
This was just an estimate, but it was based on the exact prices of the nearest pet store to where I live, and really the only one that's realistic for me to go to on a regular basis. But they charge $3.33 for large mice, $6.66 for small rats, and $15 a piece for large rats. And with the quantity of rodents that my 1 red-tail boa, 2 western diamondbacks, 1 hunter and milk snake, and my 1 tegu go through, that means if I were buying all of my rodents from the nearest pet store, 1 month of food would cost $114.93. And for just an example, if I use an 8-month year to calculate how much that would cost me over an entire year, because, you know, reptiles go into brumation, or if they don't go into brumation, they tend to slow down and not eat quite as much over the winter. Using that 8-month approximation for a reptile year, the total cost for feeding all of my reptiles if I were buying their rodents at the nearest store would be $919. Then just factor in how long reptile lifespans are, and you can quickly get a sense for how fast feeding just 4 snakes adds up. And if you're doing this math for the first time with me and you're starting to sweat about the small down payment on a house that you're going to spend on frozen rodents for your new snake over the course of its life, well, don't worry, there is a better way.
CEO entrepreneur, born in 1964.
Alright, so I've got the freezer mostly out of the packaging, and I'm already getting a little concerned because my plan had been to put the freezer right over here. And this will probably sound weird to some of you guys, and you'll just have to let me know in the comments how weird, I guess. But it makes sense to me. The washing machine here has never worked since we moved in. We've never really had a huge need for it. It's just my wife and I living together and the reptiles, and we don't generate that many dishes. So we just never got it fixed, never used it. And I'll show you inside. This is how it was when we bought it, and we've pretty much been ignoring it ever since we moved in. We live in a fairly small apartment with all of our pets, so in the interest of maximizing space, we've decided to get rid of the washing machine, and fingers crossed, if I measured correctly, our new deep freezer will fit right in that slot. And quick side note, if you are enjoying the video so far and you want to know why I'm not throwing away the styrofoam, and you want to see the reptile related project that this is going to get used for in an upcoming YouTube video, then make sure to hit the subscribe button, because for whatever reason my videos haven't been showing up in people's feeds. So if you don't want to miss out the project that I'm holding on to the styrofoam for, then make sure to tap the subscribe button and hit the notification bell. And it looks like that styrofoam right there is hopefully all the space that we're going to need, that this should fit ultimately under the counter. And I forgot to mention earlier that this one is a top opening one, which was less than ideal since we're planning on putting it under the counter, but it also should be on wheels, which should make it not that big of a deal to just roll it out to open it up every week on feeding day. Disclaimer, I have no idea what I'm doing, just gonna wing it. This is probably where I should go watch a YouTube video on how to do this the right way. But on the other hand, I'm filming this, and if something goes horribly wrong, then that'll make this video about saving money a lot more interesting to watch. So let's roll the dice. One of the pipes here that's kind of welded into place. So I'm gonna see if I can detach that. The water should be shut off to everything. And wish me luck. So it turns out that there's a certain wrench that I need, and that certain wrench happens to be in my wife's car right now, so I can wait a couple hours and just go about doing this the right way. But since this is broken anyway, I figure why be patient and why not just get the job done. Double check the water's off. Yeah, that water should be off. Oh. Got it. Uh-oh, moment of truth. That worked too perfectly. So it's easy enough to move and just kind of pull it out. And now, all this storage space for however many rats I need to order that month, or to be real, for that half of the year to qualify for free shipping, or at least make the shipping cost worth it.
And my wife will be very happy that we don't need to keep dead rats next to our food in the freezer anymore.
It's too cool. So this washing machine for years was doing less than nothing, and now you can hardly tell until you look at it that that's not a washing machine. That's all of my snake's food.
So that is step 1 of this money-saving project done, and step 2 just arrived at the door, and I've got another box. So as you have probably already guessed by now, the much cheaper way to get rodents for your snakes is ordering them online. And that's why the freezer comes in handy, is most people just don't have the freezer space to order 50 mice or 20 rats all at the same time. And a lot of people never really just look at the cost difference between buying them in store versus buying them online, then paying for the shipping. And one of the other really cool things is, at least with Rodent Pro, who I normally order through, not that this video is sponsored in any way, I'm not being supported by Rodent Pro, although if they'd like to support this channel, that would be awesome. But anyway, Rodent Pro is just the company that I have the most experience using, and it seems like more often than not, they run a promotion where if you're willing to buy at least $100 of feeders, you qualify for free shipping, which is really not hard to do, even if you only have 2 or 3 snakes. But they run so many shipping promotions, I didn't even need to do that this time around, and it was free shipping on whatever size order you got. So I know you're asking yourself right now, how much cheaper are these online rodents, and is it really worth all of this hassle? And the answers to those questions are a lot cheaper, and yes, absolutely. For large mice, Rodent Pro only charges 94 cents. For small rats, they charge $2.99, and large rats are only $4.49. And on top of the cheaper prices, they just have more options. They've got different sizes, they've got different colors, they have different types of rodents. And for a treat for all of my reptiles, this time around I decided to take advantage of that variety and buy some quails, which is something that wouldn't be available at my local pet store, and is something that my boa constrictor, rattlesnakes, and tegu would love and have never tried before. So make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see the upcoming video where they will be trying their first ever frozen quails, thawed out of course. And if you're still underwhelmed by the savings and you don't think it's worth it, think about how quickly just buying rodents from the pet store added up to feed all of my pets for 1 year, and this is a pretty low estimate. None of my animals brumate for a full 4 months, none of my animals stop eating for a full 4 months, so this is a low estimate, but to feed all of them for 1 year from the pet store, it would have cost $919. The grand total for this shipment of rodents, which will keep me set for about 4 months, was only $171. And using the same estimate for how many rodents they will need to go through over a year, the grand total for ordering a year's worth of rodents online is only $343 compared to the $919 that going to the pet store would cost. And if you're wondering how expensive the freezer was, it was $291. Now, some people won't need to buy an extra freezer to take advantage of ordering Rodents online. You might already have an extra freezer, you might already have extra freezer space. But even if you are somebody who needs to order a freezer like me, first of all, there are cheaper options. I ended up paying for a more expensive one because I was specifically looking for something that would look all right in the kitchen and fit into the same slot that our dishwasher fit into. But there are cheaper and slightly smaller freezers that run anywhere from $150 to $200. But even with the more expensive one that I bought, the grand total for the freezer and an entire year's worth of frozen mice and rats only comes to $635, which is still cheaper than buying all of your rodents from the pet store, and now you have extra freezer space. And if that's still not a good enough deal for you, I left it out of this video because I figured this video is already long and boring enough, but I actually also have a trick for pretty much getting the freezer for free too, so if you would like me to talk about that in a future video, I can talk about how to use credit card hacking to essentially get a free freezer, which is exactly what I did, and brought the total cost of food now for the next year for all of my pets, new freezer included, down from $919 buying at the store to $635 buying them online and buying the freezer, all the way down to the final total of $426.38 for an entire year's worth of food for 4 snakes and all of the whole prey element of the diet for my tegu, which means just in the first year of feeding my reptiles this way, I will have saved $493. That's almost $500 in the first year, and every year after that the freezer still works anyway, will just get better because then I will only be paying for the rodents. Anyway, that does it for this week's video. I know it wasn't the normal, completely reptile-focused video or herping videos that I have been doing, but I hope that you enjoyed it and I hope that you got something useful out of it. If this video did convince you to start ordering your rodents online, let me know down in the comments roughly how much you were spending and how much you're saving by switching to buying your rodents online. And I'm also curious, I saw somebody in the comment section of one of my videos just yesterday claiming to have 500 snakes at home. How much are you paying to feed your snakes? I'm curious who in the comments will have the highest rodent bill. I've got a feeling there will be some scary big numbers down there because when I worked at a reptile sanctuary, the cost of feeding snakes was one of the most common reasons we were given for why people had to give up their pet snake, even if they were nice and they otherwise enjoyed keeping them. Anyway, that does it for this video. I hope you found the information useful. I hope that it maybe even helps you hold on to a snake you thought you might have to give up. I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your week, but most of all, I hope that you keep herping.